Hey, welcome to another great episode of the Real Deal podcast. Let's get it. All right, welcome to another episode of The Real Deal. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Glad to be back with another episode the day before, I would say Valentine's Day, so I'm going to say that first. So happy Valentine's Day Eve for those that celebrate, and which I do as well as a married husband. And but we have the Eagles parade too on the top of that, so I'm excited for that too. And we're going to celebrate Valentine's Day. Me and my wife will celebrate Valentine's Day, celebrating the Eagles with their parade tomorrow. So looking forward to that. But you can find the show on all the podcast platforms, whether it's Spreaker, Apple, Spotify. We're on the Roku channel, BS3 Network, YouTube channel as well. And also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and all the platforms there. So well, I'm not going to keep my guest much longer waiting in the wings. I've been very excited to have her on the show for the first time. We finally made it work. We've both been busy. She just got back from Super Bowl and Super Bowl Media Radio Row. So I have Caroline Fenton, very talented woman in sports, senior reporter at Yahoo Sports, Sirius XM college sports radio host. She does a little of everything: hosting, reporting. You have to say it on Radio Row. So the list goes on and on. The resume is strong and long. So Caroline, welcome to the show. Really appreciate it.
Happy to be here. And like I told you when we were getting introduced, apologies for my dog barking in the background. It's mail drop time, so there's several mailmen and mail people out there. But I appreciate you for the introduction. So happy that we could finally get this worked out. Yeah. I'm recovering from a little bit of the what we're calling the NOLA swamp virus. It seems like everyone that was there on Media Row has come down with just a little bit of a bug. But it was an absolutely great week, and I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Yes, I'm grateful for you to do this. I did the invite maybe a few weeks ago, and like I said, you've been busy and everything too with college football ending, and then you got playoffs with the NFL, Super Bowl, and covering all that. So I'm sure, but I'm glad that we got made this work. So again, thank you, and really appreciate the time.
Absolutely. It's the busiest time of year and the playoffs, end of college football, NFL playoffs, but it's the best time of year. It's the best time of football. So it was a great time, a grind, absolutely, but a time that I look forward to, and a time that frankly, when we get into the dead period, into the, the Junes and Julys, when we're kind of Moses waltzing through the desert, yearning for live sports, we'll look back on that and we'll miss that busy time for sure.
For sure. Yeah. It's busy time. It's always good to get a little bit of a break. And you said you cover college sports, and you got March Madness, you have college basketball, men's and women's, and that's coming up next. And the NBA is in full swing at All-Star break from that, and then WNBA and baseball. And so it's a lot of different things coming up. As you said, when football ends, it's like a little bit of a break, and then back into the grind. So
I always think it's going to be a break, and then it's like, we're in the busiest season of college basketball, and then it's March Madness, and then it's NBA playoffs, and then the WNBA season starts up, and we're about a month away from the NWSL season starting up. So every time I think that, okay, just got to get through football season, then I can have a breather. It's like, just kidding. Nope.
Not yet. Nope.
Just as busy, if not busier, after the college football season. But I always say, like, I'm playing the world's tiniest violin for myself, complaining about how busy I am. And I try not to complain, because this isn't a job. Like, what I do, what we all get to do, it's not a job. It's truly the greatest privilege. And it's the most fun thing that we could ever possibly get paid to do.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, you said it's work, but it's a lot of fun. And you'd rather stay busy than not, because you're thinking, okay, if things are not going, what sports is going on? But there's always a sport that just intertwines, and when one ends, the next one comes in, because they was just talking about baseball spring training starting to yesterday. They're reporting. Here in Philly, the Phillies are in Clearwater, so it's like in that nice weather, 70, 80 degree weather. there where it's snowing and raining here. It's like, oh yeah, baseball season's getting ready to start up soon. Spring training, here we go. So yeah, it's never a dull moment in sports, but it's always fun to cover and to watch for sure. But all right, let's get started. I always have my first question. Who is Caroline Fenton? First and foremost, how did you get into the sports and media, the love of it,
Yeah.
and maybe the love and not so much the love of media as well? But we'll start with an intro. Tell the audience about yourself, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Who is Caroline Fenton? A bold and big question, but I will try and answer as best I possibly can. My love for sports started very, very early on. I'm born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, which is
Okay.
sports town. The Cardinals with the Rams at the time,
Yeah.
obviously the St. Louis Cardinals, St. Louis Blues. I grew up a die hard St. Louis Cardinals fan. And
Okay.
youngest of two girls. So I have an older sister, and my dad always had two season tickets to the Blues, the Cardinals, and the Rams. My older sister never wanted to go, so she would hang back with my mom, and then I was the last one standing. So my dad was like, "I got an extra ticket. You're coming with me." Uh,
Mm,
at first, it was just like a cool thing that I got to do with my dad. I got to hang out with my dad, so of course I wanted to go. It was get to hang out with my dad, and I got to get a hot dog and ice cream. Like heck yeah, sign me up for that.
right.
And then the more and more we went, and the more and more I was intrigued in going, the more and more I kind of fell in love with the sport, that I was learning more about the individual sports, that I was learning about the teams and the names and the entire process of sports. And I just fell in love with that so much. And from an early age, I remember the 2006 World Series, the Cardinals won. I would line
Yeah.
up my stuffed animals. I was, 8, 9 years old at the time. I would line my stuffed animals up and I would talk to them about what was happening in the game. And I would give them kind of my little broadcast. So from a young age, I felt like I was kind of destined to do this eventually. And
Yeah.
I've always loved sports. So I knew when I was looking around at colleges that that's ultimately what I wanted to do and what I wanted to study. And that's ultimately what brought me to LSU. I knew I wanted to I wanted to go to a big time football school. I wanted to cover big time sports programs. And I
Right.
just absolutely fell in love with LSU. I'm from St. Louis, so it's not really a close drive. It's not really a close travel day. I didn't really know anyone in Louisiana. I didn't really have any family ties to LSU. I just absolutely fell in love with it. And that's when I started to continue to dip my toes into sports media, doing student media at LSU, Tiger TV. I would intern at local television stations in Baton Rouge. Absolutely loved it. And I knew for
Mm,
sure with all the grind and with the, what comes with maybe the not so glamorous parts of what comes with this job, I knew that of all of the ability that I had to story tell and to talk
yeah.
to people and go to cool events, that all of the maybe not so glamorous things were totally worth it. And I knew that that's ultimately what I wanted to do. So I had a great 4 years at LSU. I learned a lot, got to cover, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and
Mm,
Justin Jefferson. And I got to cover the LSU baseball teams. They went on a run in 2017 to the College World Series final. I got to cover Ben Simmons and his year at LSU. So I got some really great exposure and I got a really great experience at LSU. And that ultimately brought me to ESPN for my
yep.
first post grad job. I worked as a digital media producer at ESPN for a couple of years and realized that maybe behind the scenes, behind the camera, wasn't really where my passion was. And I wanted to give it a crack at being on air and see if I had a
Right.
future in that. And that's when I found 1025 The Game in Nashville. So I was at 1025 The Game in Nashville, and I was a radio co-host starting out. And then I grew and learned and got a lot of experience, was able to host my own show. And then that's what brought me to Yahoo Sports eventually. And that's where I am now. I cover college sports, NFL, a little bit of everything. And then also, like you mentioned, I'm also with Sirius XM, College Sports Radio, and Mad Dog Sports Radio. And they've all been just an absolute joy. I've absolutely loved every single second of it.
Absolutely. And that's a great journey because it shows again a lot of people in the business of media, I would just say media and business, versatility, and I think that's important because reading your background and doing some research, you were making history, being the first female co-host in the history of 102.5 the game,
Yeah.
and talk a little bit about that, being that making history, and also want to get back into being at LSU,
Mhm.
how big that culture is. You said huge college sports, football, basketball, and all things. But Talk about that culture as well, but also becoming said making history first, and then we'll get into the your transition into Yahoo.
Yeah, yeah. So you bring in the word versatility. That is the best advice that I could give
Mhm.
anyone trying to get into this business, whether you're a college student or whether you're looking for a career change. Try everything, do everything, even if it's not your ultimate goal. If your ultimate goal is to be, let's say, a sideline reporter for the NFL, that's wonderful. Sometimes the best way to get there is to be a social media manager or to do
Yeah.
radio or to be in production. Just try everything. The more well-rounded you are and the more background you have and as in as many things as possible, just the better that you're going to be, the better professional you're going to be, the more that you can show that you're willing to do whatever it takes. You have just a better understanding of the business as a whole. So versatility, I think, is one of the most important things in this business. But being the first female on air at 1025 The Game, something I take a lot of pride in. Whenever I was hired, it was something I took a lot of
Right.
pride in, and still something that I take a lot of pride in now, because since I became the first female voice on 1025 The Game, there was another female that was hired at the radio station, and there was another female that was hired at
Mm,
another radio station in Nashville. So it just feels like this community of women in radio, specifically in Nashville, but really nationally, has grown so much. So if I could play even just the teeniest, tiniest part in that,
yeah.
that I've done something important, and it's been a job well done. So it was intimidating, not gonna lie, and I do feel like at my time there early on and really throughout my entirety of my experience at 1025 and really now, as a woman, you have to prepare twice as much. You have to work twice as hard to get half as much respect. You don't get certain benefits of the doubt that maybe a man would. If I misspeak, when you speak for 3 hours a day, it's bound to happen. You're bound to, skip
Right.
over your words or just say something that's not completely accurate. If I do that, then all of a sudden I'm uninformed, I'm
Mm,
dumb, I don't belong here. If a
yeah.
man might do that, and I don't want to make a blanket statement here, but this is just something that I've noticed. If a man might do that, then it's a certain, oh, well, he just misspoke. He didn't mean it. He knows better than that. So that was something that I had to overcome a lot, was the backlash and the not getting the benefit of the doubt, not getting any sort of as much support or just the way that women in sports, and specifically in sports radio where women are so underrepresented, there is a lot of backlash, or there can be a lot of backlash. So learning
Mm,
how to deal with that negative commentary, or learning how to deal with comments about my voice, the way that I look, the way that I sound, the way that I choose to present myself on the show, you have to learn how to prioritize what's important and whose voices you're choosing to listen to. Because if I'm listening to some Joe Schmo on Twitter, or some, Titan fan 123 who texts into the show telling me that I'm stupid, if I listen to them, well, then I'm not for the long haul in this job and
yeah.
in this industry. So learning to kind of, to use maybe a media quarterback kind of coach speak, block out the noise and just focus on
Yes.
what's important. That's the
Hmm.
most important thing. But I would never, I never let that deter me. I never tried to let that deter me. And that's another piece of advice that I give to any young woman in this industry, anyone that's a minority in this industry, underrepresented in this industry, is to focus on whose voices are important to you. Whose opinion do you care about? It's your mentors, your bosses, your co hosts, your producers, the people that you trust. What they have to say to you or about you, those are the important things. The person on Twitter who thinks that you don't know what you're talking about, they don't matter. Their opinion doesn't
Right.
matter. So just
Yeah.
keeping the main thing, and believing in myself and having confidence in myself, or at least acting like I have confidence in myself, even if I didn't really have confidence in myself, kind of
Right.
faking it till you make it. That's been a big thing. But the growth of women in this industry has been so encouraging to watch, and it's only going to get better.
I 100% agree, 100% on board. I'm a big, huge advocate of women in sports and the
Thank
growth,
you.
and we've seen it growth in media, sports, and business, and all those things. I really try to push that even more, because you're right. It's unfortunate that we still in 2025 have to. The people still talk about women don't belong here and this and that, and it's like, well. It's well, it doesn't matter because they're here. Women are here, and they're here for to stay, and they're here to you said break through, continue to break barriers, continue to break boundaries, and everything too. I always hope that we can come to a point where it doesn't matter if it's a woman or a man or whoever's qualified the best for this position, this job gets. I know it's a very optimistic way to look at it, but again, I'm glad that like you and others are just saying, as you said, we just move on. Like Bill Belichick said, we're on to this next one,
On
on
to
to
Cincinnati.
on to Cincinnati, right? So, but you said the main thing's the main thing. It is you
Yeah.
just you block out the noise and you move forward. And I'm glad that does it. And that was going to be one of my next questions, but you did answer it about the growth of women in
Yeah.
sports. But I mean, and it's good advice. It was great advice that you said about that. So you got a couple of comments here. Nathan Sandra said he met you at Radio Row in person when
Oh,
he was with
yes.
Annie Agar during the segment with Jordan Love. So he says you are the
Yes.
best at it. So yes, for
Oh,
sure. Yes, yes. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate that. But yeah, you're right. I think it's great advice for people that are trying to get in, especially uh, women or people of my you said people of minority, anything like that, getting into this business. How it is a cutthroat media business, and that you just kind of said you just block out the noise and you
yeah.
continue to push forward. I think that's real great advice. Let's talk about your journey
Oh.
into Yahoo Sports or where you are today. Talk about how that process came about and how has it been being with Yahoo Sports?
It's been truly, truly wonderful, and I'm not just
Yeah.
saying that because there might be, some bosses that are higher ups that might be listening to this. I mean it so truthfully and wholeheartedly. It has been such a wonderful and easy transition for me. I work with wonderful people. I get to do such fun work. I'm encouraged to come up with ideas and be creative and try things, and if they don't work, then that's okay. We won't do it again, and if it does work, then wonderful. Let's try and make it work even better. So
Yeah.
it's been a really wonderful and uplifting, supportive, and creative group of people. And another piece of advice is to always keep up with your people and
Mm,
to always never burn bridges, always to keep up with your relationships, because that's one reason why I made my way to Yahoo Sports. I was at 1025 The Game in Nashville for just over 3 years, and I got a call from one of my former bosses at ESPN who had made his way over to Yahoo Sports and said, "We're looking to expand our on air talent, and we're looking for someone who we believe that you would be a great fit." So having that relationship with him and that connection with him and continuing to keep up with him and sending each other things on Twitter, texting each other back and forth, Merry Christmas, a happy birthday. It's little things like that that can be so simple that might go a
yeah.
long way. And you never know when and if that person could potentially get you to that next step or give you a great opportunity. So that's how I ultimately got to Yahoo Sports, was a former connection that I had from my time at ESPN. And it's been awesome. What they're building at Yahoo Sports is really, really fun. They're bringing in super knowledgeable and creative people. There's been so much investment, financial investment or just investment as a whole into building the sports side of Yahoo, and it's a really an honor and a privilege to be part of it.
Yeah, and Yahoo is, I mean, the brand name of Yahoo just it's been for a long time, you're right, it has expanded their sports department, and
Mhm.
it's still, and it's a big brand, it's a known brand and company, I should say, that covers a lot. I mean, covers all sports, and you're a big part of that too. So congratulations
Thank
on
you.
yeah, getting there and doing your thing with Yahoo. And also, you said you cover college sports
Yeah.
as well on radio. Talking how you got into the Sirius XM as well, and you said that the versatility is just tremendous.
Oh, thank you. And I've always said, if you can do radio, you can do anything in this life. If
Yeah,
you can fill 3 hours of airtime, then
right.
you can get anything else covered. And that is no disrespect whatsoever to reporters that grind physically, mentally, emotionally, all of the above. It's all hard. It is all difficult. But if you can fill 3 hours of airspace, that is at 3 to 4 hours of airspace. It's pretty impressive to do.
Yeah.
SiriusXM is another opportunity that I got from someone that I knew. I actually got an opportunity from someone that I knew from LSU, and I was at SEC Media Days for 1025 The Game just a couple of years ago, and I went on their radio show, and we were just going back and forth debating: is Kentucky going to be good? Are we giving Texas A&M just a little bit too much credit? And we had such a good and organic and fun conversation that he said, "Hey, again, we're looking to add, maybe some younger talent, maybe just
Right.
to change up the rotation a little bit. Would you be
Mhm.
interested in coming aboard at Sirius XM? And I was like, heck yeah, I would.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've been there about 2 years, and it has been so fun. Kind of getting to continue to do radio even when I stepped away from 1025, getting to meet so many new people. It's crazy. At Sirius XM, we could hop onto a show, and I have a 3 to 4 hour show with someone that I've never met in person before. And we've
Mhm.
only talked to
Yeah.
each other over Zoom or on the radio. So that's an interesting dynamic, a challenging dynamic, but also a very, very fun one. It's a really cool and fun community.
Yeah, it is, and you said the connections that you've developed over the years, and you said not burning bridges. I think that's another important advice of when you build connections and you have the networking. It sometimes comes right back and helps you out on your journey. So, how important is that, the networking and having these connections, and it's over the years, and then next thing you know, someone might be hiring you. A couple years later, or they run into you, say, oh, I know someone that would love to have you on, or love to, to pick your brain about something,
Yeah.
or to do that. How important is networking and connections when it comes to media in general?
It is so important. And I
Hmm.
do think, because I was talking to some students at LSU just a few months ago, kind of just helping them along their journey. And they were talking about how networking can be a really intimidating word. And I get
Right.
it. Like when I was sitting in your shoes, 19, 20, 21 years old, the term networking just felt so intimidating that it had to be something very formal. And I said, no, networking is just meeting people and
Yeah.
talking to people and following them on Twitter and connecting with them and continuing those conversations. It doesn't have to be something cold and rigid where you have to go to like a formal networking event. But relationships are so, so, so important in this business, in life as a whole, but
Yeah.
of course in this business as well. I always compare it like to coaching trees. Whenever a coach might get a job, he'll bring his coordinators with him, offensive defensive coordinators with him, or position coaches. And then those position coaches get jobs and they bring their kind of group with them. So you have kind of a coaching tree. Media is very, very similar. Someone might get a job somewhere else and they might say, hey, I know someone that would be a great addition to this team. Not poaching, but more so opening the doors to new opportunities, and kind of always kind of staying in the background there. So networking is so important, but also important to remember networking isn't everything. A person that you might know could get you in the door, but
Mm.
your work ethic and your abilities and your willingness to try new things and to
Yeah.
work really, really hard, that's what gets you the job and keeps you the job. So networking, obviously very, very, very important. Take care of your people, keep up with your people. But it's you ultimately that's going to hold down that job. And then you also will get the opportunity to bring people in and continue your network and do to others what someone might have done for
Mhm.
you. If you have those skins on the wall and have the respect of those ahead of you, they'll say, okay, well, if Caroline or so and so, if Courtney loves this person, then hey, then we trust them. So that's always important to uphold that reputation that maybe somebody would have sold for you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yes, you're right. And the ones that helped you, and then you have now you can reach out and help others too that want to reach out to you, and you can use your experiences or your I guess abilities and things like that to help to extend that help to someone else too. Yeah, I think that's part of networking. I think
Totally.
that's a very important part of networking. All right, I'm gonna got a couple more before I let you go. I've been loving this conversation and everything too. But I wanted to ask you about the state of media and the state of journalism, and as we talked about earlier, how networking and is important. But now we know how sometimes the media is looked upon these days. I mean, whether it's sports or politics, it's changed the narrative of
Yeah.
how things are reported, or we have I'll say politicians that have called it fake news. I won't don't use names, but we just had that, so kind of know what we're talking about. But presidential people that said that, but in your
Not gonna
eyes,
name names here, but
yeah, not no names, but what do you think of the state of media, journalism? Maybe we'll just stick with just sports, but in this way, sports media, where it's been, where it is today, and where do you think it is going? Because people look at media so differently, and they consume it differently too. Just with social media, consuming not so much maybe with TV anymore, but social media, how to get that. But what do you see the state of media and social media?
Yeah, I know it's an important question because media and social media, those lines have been blurred
Mm,
more so now than
yeah.
ever. It's
Yes.
like I use Twitter as my Twitter X, whatever you want to call it, as my morning newspaper. Like that's how I consume news.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are like that. They consume news, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it might be. And it's unfortunate that now the distrust in the media has never been higher. Maybe what
Ooh,
it has
yes.
been over the last 5 years or so. There is so much distrust in the media, and there's also such low media literacy where someone might
Mm,
see something that is just
mm,
like absolutely outrageous. And then some people out there might believe that just because it's something that they see on social media and not go through other resources to check and see if that's real. Look, I'm guilty of it. I may have seen something on social media and I have a quick reaction, and then I realize,
yeah.
oh, it's a fake parody account, and I just got. We're all guilty of it.
Yes.
I think it's important though to remember, and I'm coming from a different perspective because I am not a reporter. I do not break news, at least traditionally. I would love if I could, whenever I have the ability to break news, I would love to, but I'm
Right.
not a capital J journalist, so to speak. My job is to, you know, create shows and create engaging content, entertaining content, true, factual, and thought provoking content, but
Right.
not necessarily, going to a presidential press conference or breaking news like that. So my perspective is different. I have a lot of respect for the people that do that. But I think it's important to remember that you just have to stay true to yourself. There's
Right.
gonna be people on social media that say this is clickbait when it's like, no, like I actually genuinely do think that
Mm,
Deion Sanders would have been a bad hire for the Dallas Cowboys or whatever it might be, whatever the
yeah. Yeah.
the news story might be, whatever the take might be. A lot in radio we hear like hot takes, you're just doing this because it's a hot take. And no, if you genuinely believe that and you genuinely can drive a thought-provoking and engaging conversation, and you can provide enough facts and statistical backup to say this is my thought, this is my opinion, this is my take, and this is how I got there, and this is why I think this, then you're not wrong
Yeah.
in any
Right.
sort of way. That essentially in our jobs we get paid to have those opinions, we get paid to support those opinions. So you have to stay true to yourself, what you think the audience or the readers are going to be interested in, doing your research, doing your homework, supporting those facts, supporting those opinions. I think those are all so important. There's always going to be the trolls on social media who might say you might have
Yeah.
an ulterior motive, but as long as you're being truthful and as long as you are being genuine and as long as you are keeping the facts in mind and the audience's best interest, audience raters, so on and so forth, their best interests at heart, man, that's you can at least end the day and say, I did my job. I was being truthful, I was being factual, and I was creating content that I thought was thought provoking.
Yeah, for sure. Yes. And like you said, authentic, being yourself, your authentic self. Because yes, people will know anything that's phony or fake.
Yeah,
And we said you have the trolls out there, but if you're being authentic and you're proud of the work that you put out, the content that you put out, I think that's at the end of the day, that's what it's about. And if it's true, factual, and authentic, there's nothing to worry about. I agree with that as well. All right, just two more, and I will let you go. I wanted to ask you about Radio Row
uh-huh.
and how was that experience for you? As you said, your first time on Super Bowl Media Row, and they call it me. It used to be Radio Row, it's Media Row because it's changed over the years. But how was that experience for you? As we were talking before we recorded, I did my first was last year in Vegas, so you got to go to New Orleans, and I saw the content you put out. Again, great content and
Thank
things
you.
like that. So yeah, great interviews. It's so engaging. It's
It's a lot.
a lot of work, but it's fun. But I think when people think of it, they were asking me, "Was it fun?" It's like, yeah, I got a chance to have fun, but it's work too. It's a lot more work than anything. But I wouldn't trade it in for the world. But how was your experience at this year's Super Bowl Media Row?
It was amazing. It was
Yeah.
a lot in every single definition of the word.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of hours. It was a
Yes.
lot of fun.
Yep.
Everything about it is just like it's unlike anything that I've ever experienced. I've
Yeah.
been on radio and media rows at national championships, conference championships,
Right.
media days, all sorts of different events. I've been lucky enough to do that. The Super Bowl, obviously, it's the Super Bowl, but it
Yeah.
is so much bigger than anything else that I have ever experienced. Just the sheer number of sponsorships, like Bounty, the paper towels, had a full like house that they constructed, a
Yeah.
two-story structure when they had darts, they had several TVs, they were giving out thousands and thousands of wings throughout the week. Like everyone was carrying around a little Bounty box of wings. It was, and that is just one of so many examples of like these massive structures that were built. Like for Yahoo Sports, we had a car on set, a whole Toyota
Right.
truck on set. It is just huge, the amount of money invested into it,
Yeah.
the people that you see, a ton of athletes and NFL players going around. I got the privilege of talking to Jordan Love and Joe Burrow and Fred Warner and Patrick Surtain. I got to talk to him on Friday, so the night before he won Defensive Player of the Year, which was very, very cool.
Yeah.
We also got to talk to Adam Devine, the comedian, Keegan Michael Key, the comedian. There are social media stars, TikTok stars, movie stars. Like it is like everyone, anyone and everyone was there. So it was just an amazing experience. I got to go to opening night as well, which was
Oh yes. Yes.
a media scrum unlike anything that I've ever been a
Yes.
part of. We were
Hmm.
running around. It was several hours long. There were live performances. There were fans in the stands. So a very, very cool experience. Long days, late nights, early mornings, but so, so, so much fun. I think it was one of the coolest experiences that I've ever had getting to do this job.
Yes, it is. I agree, and it is. It was a lot. I didn't know what to expect, and just like that, like you said, it's a lot of work. It is a lot of fun. It said the opening night, and then we went to the media dinner. We got to do that last
Yeah.
year. It was so much, and as you said, interview after interview, people just coming in. You're like, oh my goodness, this person from athletes to entertainers to social media, people at social media, and yeah, and content creators, a lot of different people, and we're like, hey, you guys want to interview? Or they're promoting something, or they have this to a book or something. They want to, they just want 5-10 minutes of your time. We're like, sure,
Yeah.
because our network had a booth last year, and that's what it was. We had scheduled interviews, but then we also had interviews like you probably said. People were just coming up on the set, and I was like, oh, okay, you guys got 5-10 minutes. It's like, sure, why not?
Okay. I apologize. My Wi Fi may have gone out.
Nope, nope, you're here. I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
All
Perfect.
right. All
Apologies.
right. No, no problem. Yeah. So yeah, the media role is a big it's a big time thing. It's like I said, if you did it one time, enjoy that and enjoy it, and because you would anybody that's into media, this is like you said, the next level when it comes to Super Bowl, and they know how to do it. The NFL really knows how to put
They
up a
know how to
show.
do it.
Yeah, they know how to do it. All
New
right,
Orleans
last
knows how to do it
and
too.
yes. All right, last one. Hopefully, like I said, San Francisco next year. Maybe we meet in person.
Yeah,
And this time
absolutely.
we get opportunities to do it again. But last one. What does Caroline love to do outside of sports and media, and also where can people follow you or reach out to you as well?
Yeah, yeah. Well, obviously, sports are at the top of the list of the to-do list of things I love to do. It's not
Yeah,
just something I do for my job. I genuinely love sports. Anytime I get to go to a
yeah,
live sporting event or anything like that, obviously that's at the top of my list of interests. But I love to travel. If that's traveling for a game or if it's just traveling for fun, I always am on the move. I'm lucky enough that I get to travel for my job, but traveling, whether it's any like just a new place. I live in Nashville, so if it's somewhere new in Tennessee or if it's somewhere new across the globe. I love, love, love to travel. I'm a dog foster as well. I'm a total animal lover. So I always try to have a fuzzy friend in the house. So actually, I'm
yeah,
fostering a dog now. So that's been it's so rewarding and so
yeah.
fun to have those dogs in the house, and I love to cook and bake. I'll throw on, radio shows, podcasts, and I would be so content if I'm just cooking and baking in the kitchen all day. So those are a
Yeah.
little behind the scenes
Little
of
behind the
me.
curtain, right,
Yeah, a
right.
little behind the curtain. There is more
Yeah.
to me than just talking ball. I promise you. But you can find me on Twitter at Caroline Fenton One. We'll be launching the college basketball Power Hour with Yahoo Sports
Mm,
here in just a few days. Very excited about that. So we'll be doing
yes.
all of March Madness coverage. We'll get you prepped and ready for all things postseason. And you can also find me on Sirius XM. I'll be on Sirius XM Mad Dog Sports Radio from 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern time on Monday morning, but you can find me on the college sports channel as well.
All right, everyone, follow Caroline. As just follow her everywhere on, except on social media, Twitter, Instagram, all those things. I really appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to the March Madness coverage as well. I'm always
Thank you. I'm
following,
pumped about it.
getting ready for brackets and analysis. I dive deep into it. Always trying to win something. Hard to do, but it's always trying to pick the right combinations and things like that. It's just a fun time. Get together
It
with
is.
friends and
There's no science to it.
no,
Just
there
to
isn't.
throw darts at the wall
Yes,
that might
yes.
be more accurate than
Right,
actually
right. Yes, exactly,
breaking
exactly.
it
So,
down.
but we have to do this again. Maybe during
Absolutely.
March Madness, maybe we'll do a little. I always do a March Madness like during the week preview and what your expectations and things like that. Maybe I'll hit you up and we'll do something like that if
That
time
would be
permits
amazing.
that as well. So yeah, so looking forward
I'd
to
love
that.
that.
All right. Well, I enjoyed this as well, and thank you again
Thank you.
for your time. And I really appreciate you. And best of luck, everything for the rest of the year, and many blessings to you as well.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Good luck to you and love to you and yours.
All right, you too. Thank you. All right, you have a good one. Talk to you soon.
Appreciate it.
All right. That is a wrap for the show. Follow Caroline Fenton. Appreciate her. College, Sirius XM college sports radio host and Yahoo Sports. There, you can follow her on all those platforms, and she did amazing work on the Super Bowl coverage at Media Row in New Orleans. So hopefully, I always get a chance to meet colleagues and people in the industry and connect and network with them. So hopefully I'll get that chance in the future. So follow her work there in March Madness, and she covers, like I said, covers a lot of different sports, NBA and college sports and baseball and all those things. So all right, well that's a wrap for the show. I believe it's the last show for the week. So be on the lookout for just the content and more content next week. More great guests. You never know who I'm going to have on the show. Just reaching out to the best guest as I can get. So appreciate all the support, all the love, all the retweets, all the likes, all those things. It's just I'm so thankful and grateful for everyone that tunes in each and every time I'm on air. All right, that's a wrap for the show. As always, everyone be safe and God bless. And you will see me at the Eagles parade tomorrow. So looking forward to Fly Eagles Fly, Eagles parade. All right, peace. Have a good one.